right after Thanksgiving 2009, I started working out. In the previous decade or so, I had slowly been gaining weight, and not only was it showing in my gut, it was showing in my face. I had pain in my lower back, and though I had always enjoyed athletics, I never regularly worked out except for like soccer practice to get ready for the soccer season. But at my wife's encouragement, I talked with a guy from the church. His name was Joe. I started to work out with him. Joe was a pastoral intern here during his student years at a local Bible college, and he taught our youth group Sunday school. Sometimes he preached, but he also had a background as a workout trainer. So when I told him about the conversation that my wife and I were having, he enthusiastically said, "Bro, yeah, come on out with me and my friend Matt." And that's what I did. Over the next 6 to 7 months, Joe and Matt trained me, and I lost weight, I got in shape, I began running. But I will never forget the very first day of working out. I think for Joe's schedule, I had to meet him at his gym at some crazy early hour, 5 a.m. or 5:30. At least it seemed crazy early for me. We stretched, we warmed up, and then he started putting me through a series of exercises. One of the exercises was dips. Now, I don't know if you guys know about dips, but basically you raise yourself up on a bar and you push yourself with your arms up and down like this. So I don't think I had ever done dips before, but it kind of felt good. I did maybe like 2 or 3 sets of 5 dips each until I couldn't do any more and my arms were tired. But overall it felt pretty good. That evening, however, something had changed. My arms hurt. They were really sore. So I took painkillers and got some of that sports cream, and pretty much my whole body hurt based on all the other exercises we had done. I couldn't sleep. Neither could my wife because I put too much cream on and it stunk up the whole room. Well, then I had another surprise. A couple days later, when I met with Joe and Matt at the gym again, got up on the dip machine, I couldn't even do one. It was like my arms locked up with the soreness and the pain, and I couldn't do it. What happened, I wondered? I was afraid that maybe I had actually injured myself. Well, I hadn't injured myself. My arms were never in the proper condition in the first place. If I wanted to do a repetition of dips over and over day after day. Yeah, a one-off day of a couple sets of 5 dips, no problem. Could do it once every year. But if I wanted to do it every day, I needed to start a new habit that would strengthen my muscles. And that's what I did. I kept at it. Back up on that dip machine every couple days or so at the gym. And slowly, after a couple days, I could do 1 dip. It felt pathetic. 1 measly dip. But then a few more days and I could do 2. And the soreness slowly dissipated, and little by little as the months went by, I could do 3 sets of 15 dips each. No soreness in the evening. I couldn't believe the transformation. Well, what I had experienced was pretty much what all of us humans experience, and it's not just about exercise and muscles. It's about any task that we want to improve on. It's like the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Now that idea of perfection, that's a total exaggeration, but the point remains. If we want to succeed over time, we need to develop new habits. That is the time-tested theory that undergirds Chapter 2 of the book, Surprise the World, The 5 Habits of Highly Missional People by Michael Frost. And Chapter 2 is called A New Set of Habits. Frost begins the chapter by noting that we are all used to churches launching one-time or maybe short-term initiatives. Now, at Faith Church, we have done this so many times over the years. We have a week of Vacation Bible School, or we have a series of Good News Club sessions. Over the summer, for the numerous years, we've had Summer Lunch Club. We maybe have the one-off event, or maybe your church does, like our church. In the fall, we've had Fall Fest, Trunk or Treat, you name it. These are all good things, all of them. But what Frost wants us to think about is this: the challenge of finding regular rhythms or habits that transform everyday lifestyles. And he invites us to turn to James chapter 2 in our Bibles. I'm going to read a few verses. James writes this: "What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, 'Go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." Someone will say, "You have faith, I have deeds." Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by what I do. You believe there is one God? Good. Even the demons believe that and shudder. James is teaching us very clearly here that our faith shows itself to be false or true by the actions of our lives. Now, Frost expands on this, and he says faith is not an act in the sense of a single choice. It is not even just a belief system. It is a habit. That's what James is saying. It's the pattern of our lives shows what we really believe. We cannot observe the quality of our faith by simply thinking or even saying what we believe. But we can observe the quality of our faith by tracking the patterns of our lives. For many years now, when I've gone running, usually it's a couple times a week, 3, 4, 5 times a week, I use a tracking app called Runkeeper. It relies on global positioning technology on my phone, and it records everything: where I run, how far, how fast, elevation. I can even program in what kind of shoes I have, and it will keep track of how many miles I have on those shoes. Runkeeper enables me to have a clear picture of how things are going with my running. What James is saying here is that we need a Runkeeper for our faith, a faith keeper, a tracking system that gives us a clear picture of our faith. So what this faith keeper would entail is kind of an accounting of all the choices of our lives. It would help us to see over time what are the actual practices of our lives. Not what we say we believe, not what we think we believe, but what we actually believe, because it will be based on what we see out of our lives, our actions, our choices, the pattern, the long-term habits. So, what are your actual habits? There's so many questions we could pose here. How much time do you spend watching TV? How do you use your money? What are your relationships like? How much time do you sleep? How are you giving yourself for volunteering or serving? How much time do you spend with Jesus? And so on. What I recommend you do, because we're right here at the outset of Frost's book, is to first make an accounting of your life. Maybe even enlist the people who know you best to help you. Do a full life inventory so you can learn what your habits really are, and that will tell you what you really believe. Now, as Frost continues, he says what the rest of the book will help us do is to foster a new set of habits that will in turn shape our values and our beliefs. That's what BELLS is. Do you remember that acronym from the previous weeks? BELLS. It's the 5 habits. Frost calls them missional habits or missional rhythms, missional practices. So what does he mean by that? Missional. He says, by missional, I mean all that we do and say that alerts others to the reign of God. He then goes on to quote another writer who says it this way: mission is more than and different from recruitment to our brand of religion. It is alerting of people to the universal reign of God through Christ. Or to put it another way, Frost writes, mission is both the announcement and demonstration of the reign of God through Christ. And so the implication, Frost explains, is that missional people are not primarily concerned with church growth. We are primarily concerned with the reign and rule of the triune God. When we develop these missional habits, bells, we will be leading questionable lives. Remember that from the previous chapter? So that, Frost says, people will invite us to proclaim the reign of God. That's a good thing. A questionable life is a good life. It's a bell's life. So with that foundation of missionality, Frost introduces the bells. Bless, he says, leads us to be generous. Eat encourages us to be hospitable. Listen directs us to be spirit-led, which, do you remember the previous book study we just finished about the book When Church Stops Working, and being a waiting church, waiting and listening for the Spirit? Same thing. Number 4, learn motivates us to be Christ-like. And finally, number 5, the last habit, sent, pushes us out to be missional. And so Frost summarizes, if you want to be a generous, hospitable, spirit-led, Christ-like missionary, don't just try to learn those values. Foster these habits. I mean, we could have a class, we could have a sermon series, I'm doing these devotionals. That's all good information. But what we need is personal formation. We need these 5 habits to change us. We actually need to implement them in our lives consistently over the long haul. Then we will better demonstrate and declare the reign of God around us. We will live those questionable lives that inspire and invite people to question us about our lives. So how about you? Before next week, when we get to the very first habit, will you do a faith keeper audit of your life to learn your current habits? I encourage you to do so prayerfully with teachability and humility, asking the Spirit to speak to you about what habits you might need to change.